Smarter practice, how to stop wasting range time. Most golfers waste 90% of their practice time. Here's how to practice like someone who actually gets better. Small gains over time equals huge results, but only if you practice smart. Hi, my name's Justin Klimbala. Welcome to my channel. I am the founder of Breaking Bogeys. I'm so excited to be here to help you with your game. Let's break bad golf together. There's a famous book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. In this book, he talks about a story of an older gentleman talking to a young man about the power of investing. The older gentleman gives the younger man two options. He can either write him $1 million check today, or he will give him a penny that goes into an investment account that doubles in value every single day for 31 days. But after the 31 days, you're stuck with whatever the valuation is of that account at the end of the 31 days. Now, most people think when they first hear this option that the penny, there's no way that that could turn into very much in 31 days. So most people usually take the $1 million check. However, let's do the math just for a moment. So if you take a penny and you double it in value, day one, it's 1 penny. Day two, it's 2 pennies. Day three, it's 4. Day 4, it's 8. Day 5, it's 16. At the end of a week, it turns into 64 cents. So you're about 1/4 of the way through of these 31 days, and it's only worth 64 cents. If we went 2 weeks into this, you would have $80 in that account. If you go 3 weeks into this, it turns into $10,000. Still nowhere near the $1 million offer. So that's 21 days in, you only got $10,000, nowhere near the $1 million offer. However, if you keep going all the way through to the 31 days, it turns into $10,700,000, over $10 million more than the initial $1 million check. The reason for that story is to really show you that building significant improvement actually takes time. It doesn't happen right away. And when you're doing something and you're not seeing immediate results, it could be just because you're at the beginning stages of this transition. So I'm now going to jump into 3 things that I think will help you improve your practice. The first thing is that your practice needs to be measurable. What's a way that you can measure your practice? Well, you could practice your full swing and count how many solid golf shots that you can hit in a row. So you hit 1 solid shot, you hit 2 solid shots, and then if you top your 3rd shot, you've only done 2 in a row. So we would love to add measurability to your practice, because being able to measure your practice actually allows you to be able to track your progress over time, and then also allows you to see if you're getting any better. So measurability has to be a part of your practice routine. The second thing that you absolutely have to have is pressure, and measurability adds that pressure to your practice. See, the problem a lot of times is that people practice on the driving range where there's no pressure at all, where they just are kind of randomly hitting shots, but they don't feel any pressure. And then all of a sudden when they go out to the golf course, they only have 1 shot to hit the shot well, and then all of a sudden they feel an immense amount of pressure and they play worse out of the golf course than they do on the driving range. We have to apply that pressure when you're practicing in order to expose yourself to that pressure even when you're practicing, so you're more used to it when you go out to the golf course. Adding measurability adds that pressure. So if you hit 1 shot great, you hit a 2nd shot great, and then you hit a bad shot, you go back to 0. Your record is now 2 in a row. Now let's say you hit 1 shot great, you hit a 2nd shot great, you hit a 3rd shot great, you now have broken your previous record. Nice job. You hit a 4th shot great, you hit the 5th shot badly. You go back to 0. Now your goal is to break your new record, which is 4 in a row. So you hit 1 shot great, you hit 2 shots great, you hit 3 shots great. You might start feeling that pressure, because you know if you hit this 4th shot badly, you have to go back to 0. So this is where I think measurability when you're practicing is so helpful, because it's exposing you to that pressure as you're practicing. And that pressure of going back to 0 simulates a little bit of that pressure that you feel out on the golf course. And when you're consistently exposing yourself to this particular pressure, you're going to be able to get more used to that pressure when you're practicing, so that when you go out to the golf course, it'll be a much more easier transition because you'll be used to the pressure being there, because every time that you've gotten up to your new record and were fearful of going back to zero, you powered through and got to a new record. So we need measurability in our practice. So some way of measuring how you're doing on that particular skill. And then we also need an element of pressure when we're practicing. That has to consistently always be there when you're practicing, or you're just not quite preparing yourself for the golf course. The third thing is to just make sure that you don't spend more than 10 to 15 minutes on a particular drill. Engagement in whatever you're doing is super important. And a lot of times people just start to practice poorly or hit bad shots just because they're simply bored. So make sure that you're not doing any more than 10 to 15 minutes on a particular drill, and then move on to the next particular skill. I like to sometimes use the 1/3 theory, which is basically where you go out and practice and only spend 1/3 of your time on these three different subjects. 1/3 of your time on putting, 1/3 of your time on short game, and 1/3 of your time on full swing. So if you only had an hour to practice, you'd do 20 minutes of putting, 20 minutes of short game, and 20 minutes of full swing. If you had 2 hours, you do 40 minutes of each. Make sure that you're switching it up. Don't do more than 10 to 15 minutes on a particular drill, and make sure that you're hitting all the different parts of your game. A lot of people get stuck just doing full swing all the time, and they need to touch on the other parts of their game. So make sure that to apply that 1/3 theory as well. If you like today's video, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button, and also click on the like button for this video. Thanks so much for breaking bad golf with me. And lastly, comment down in the video below on what type of a drill that you'd like to see in a future video. I'm going to be launching some different drills that you can use to help you improve your game. So comment below and I will film a video on one of those drills.